pleasure. What's the weather like there today? You guys?
It's really sunny, hot, and it feels really good. So
Yeah,
living near the beach has its benefits. So
yeah. I miss the beach. I grew up on the East Coast, and so that's the one thing I miss. They say there are beaches in Colorado.
yeah, I don't know about that.
Eh, not sure I'm
I've
down with
never
that.
been, but I don't know if I agree.
Yeah, no, we actually had snow. We just got done with a 6-inch storm the day before Easter.
Yeah, I don't think I do very well in cold weather at all. I
Hmm.
get a little upset, angry. I like it a little bit warmer.
Were you always a Florida native?
No, I'm actually from Oklahoma.
Okay, still warm.
Yes, still
Yeah.
warm. A lot different. The beaches there are a lot different as well.
Hmm.
Definitely can't see anything through it. So you put your hand underneath and you still
Boom,
can't.
disappear into the water.
So I'm Shirley. First, I am a mom. I was also a foster parent for a really long time. Last year, this time of year, I actually had 9 children. And right now, I'm an adoptive mom of 4 children. I have one biological child. I have worked for Gulf Coast Panama Jack for 10 years. We are a wholesale distributor. And I actually started off as an order entry associate. So I started off helping them do some integrations with from Nav, well, actually from an old system called Cougar. And then we went to Nav, and then we went to BC. And that's kind of where a little bit of my passion came from, was I would have to go to these classes, learn everything, and then go and teach everything to all of our sales team or the office staff around here. So I kind of took that role in a way. And a little bit more about me: I'm married, live in Panama City Beach. I enjoy it here. Good company to work for. They're very supportive. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Into our topic today, which is all about speaking at events, and speaking not just at large events, but local. Just kind of getting yourself immersed in the idea of becoming a speaker in the community. And we had similar paths, by the way. I was in IT, but I started at kind of right at the beginning of an implementation from JD Edwards to AX, and then on into the next versions of AX as they came along. Was
Yeah.
pretty far back, so it was a number of version upgrades in between, but similar paths, and learning the software from that ground level as a functional support person all the way through to developing and other things, in the community, which is kind of what we're here to talk about. That next step into the community side after you've been doing it in your personal, like kind of, business side.
Yeah.
Were you always involved in the community? Just quick question before we jump into the speaker side. Were you going to community meetings or anything like that?
Um, yeah, so I was attending the events, just as a end user, attending a couple. And actually the CEO here, she would go with me and she would say, one day I have a feeling you're going to be up there speaking. So that, I think it was her fault that kind of got into my head.
Yeah,
Um,
planted
and
that seed.
yeah, she planted that seed, and everybody else kind of agreed. They were like, you need to be doing this. You're already doing it here with the people I work with. So, yeah, I think she planted that seed. So I'm going to partially blame her for that. Um, but yeah, we were attending, and then one day I just bit the bullet and was like, you know what? I want to be part of the community. I saw how awesome it was, the people there. And I think it was only when I actually started speaking where I really got to experience the community in a
Mm.
bigger picture. You really got to interact with a lot of mentors, and things like that. So I would just say that's kind of the beginning of where it got started.
And that's kind of why I was interested in telling the stories, because I think there are a lot of people out there that might want to do it, don't know where to start, or a little afraid, haven't done public speaking in a while, or haven't been up in front of a crowd of that magnitude, maybe, 30, 40 people staring you down as you're talking about a topic. Or, if you're up on a main stage or doing it virtually where a lot more viewers. Um, so when was your first speaking engagement at community?
So I did a smaller one, which I think was the best route to go at the
Hmm.
beginning. I did a smaller event. It was something like 20, maybe 30 people. But I was crazy nervous about that one. And I actually end up emailing people asking like, are you sure I've got this? I would email them my slides, like, will you look this over and make sure? They assigned me a mentor, and I would say that was a huge help.
Hmm.
was having that mentor. I got to practice it with them and show them what I was thinking. And that helped take a little bit of the nerve off of the anxiety I had about teaching it. They're like, no, this is an amazing topic. Everybody needs to hear this and see it. And I think we all have our own specialties that we're good at. You can't be good at everything in every department. So you've got to have some kind of niche you're good at, and then approach it to somebody, get a mentor. There's a lot of people in the community. I don't feel worthy of the mentorship and the time that my mentors have given to me. But they have been a huge part of my success, and
Hmm.
I came this far without them. But started at that small little event and spoke at that one. And from there, I got a lot of encouragement to go ahead and co-teach with another person. So I co-taught with Sean, and we did one, and we had a lot of good feedback. In fact, a lot of people were coming up to me after saying, "Oh, we enjoyed your session and got to talking," and it kind of leads to an engagement with another person. Oh, you experience those problems too. You get a chance to kind of talk through, work through a lot of different problems. And that's kind of how I got started as well in the order entry room with my coworkers. We would be working on transitioning to a new ERP system, and we would have to work through a lot of the problems
Hmm.
by brainstorming and talking it out. And I think that's what's been important to me is I get to get up there in front of somebody, talk about something. I'm not an expert in it by any means, but I can talk about it, show the things I know, hopefully prevent them from struggles that I went through, give them some guidance in a way, and hopefully by the end of it we can have a conversation, because I don't see myself always as a teacher, but it's more about community, it's about engagement. So I might be up there teaching what I know, but I hope that I can stop and have a conversation with somebody else afterwards, or even in between, and say, is there a better way that we should be doing this? Because I think as an end user, you have the most amount of experience. People, partners and ISV partners, I think they're in there and they know the program very well, but are they using it every single day? Are they running into the issues that I run into?
Yeah.
Kind of that kind of sort of thing. So yeah, I just started small. I did the virtuals. I would suggest starting virtual ones are great because you're kind of in your own environment.
Hmm.
It's a little bit more comfortable. Go small. Join a user group. I am part of a user group. So you can also volunteer to teach one of those. That's a great way to get practice. That's not so overwhelming, I guess.
Yeah. I love that. Starting small, getting a mentor. Those are two big keys, I think, if you can get to that point. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to provide too, is provide a little bit stronger mentorship program around. Because one of the things I know is that people love, I mean, you're pointing it out eloquently. People love to hear from end users. Partners can get up. I'm an IT person. Through my career in working technically with the software, I knew what I needed to know at the moment I needed to know it. So if it was an accounting thing, I got up to speed with whatever it was, and then as soon as I stepped away, I forgot it. It's like I got to move on to the other thing now. So I can't hold on to that thing as hard as somebody who's doing it every day. So hearing from folks like you that are kind of in the zone, in the flow with whatever module or part of the business it is, those are the real experts. And you like you said, you create those connections with other end users to say, hey, I've got, yeah, and that's where the real magic happens. So people love, so
Mhm.
that's what I'm trying to encourage more end users to get up and speak, because when we see sessions submitted to conferences, one of the first things we look for as a programming committee is, are they an end user? Because we're giving end users preferential treatment. As long as the session looks decent, the description something, they've got words, they're
Yep.
words in the description, you're probably going to get it accepted because people want to hear from end users.
Mhm.
Um, because again, it's just impactful to hear somebody, your peer, not feeling like you're potentially being sold to by a partner, or maybe you don't trust. Yeah, all the partners I know are awesome, but there's a level of trust that comes with being an end user, listening to an end user, that just is hard to replace um, if you don't know the person. So that's why I get excited to hear more from you. So talk about, so you loved your last virtual. You had a great, I think your description was, was using kind of a little bit of blue language, but kind of it brought you in. When you're looking at it, creating a session, from what you've learned, how do you go about setting up the description, setting up the title,
Mhm.
starting that process? Like, what's that like for you?
So, I have a passion for a couple different things. I just started simple. What am I the most passionate about? What has changed the way I work or things that people always call me for? So, one thing is I love filters in Business Central, and they always call me the filter queen. So, anytime somebody has a problem, they say, call Shirley, maybe she can create a filter for it. So, use tons of the symbols, different ways to uniquely make different filters in Business Central that can problem solve things. And what I found is I was making these filters and I was putting them in place, and it was taking off a huge amount of my workload.
Hmm.
So I was able to create them, share them, and make them accessible to the person that was continuously asking them that information from me. So I started with that. I just picked one. And what I would suggest anybody do is you don't have to teach 6 or 7 different classes. Start one. Pick something you're passionate about, something that has made your life easier, or you wish somebody would have shared with you, whether it be in training or if you're at these events and you're trying to, like, there's tons of missing pieces, I think, at these events that needs to be captured on. And I think a lot of us end users are the people that can preach or talk on those topics. So I did filters. And then I love to be funny and have fun. And I think nothing's more appealing than a catchy title. That's my personal opinion. I don't like to keep it basic or simple. So I did no effing filters, meaning that I have no filter to figure this out. So yeah, I just did the no effing filter. And then the way I get started personally is I write down different ideas and then I throw it in my PowerPoint, and I start the slides. And every time I think of something, I just have an agenda of maybe next week, I want to have all my thoughts thrown down in an agenda written out. And then the next thing I do is I just take one slide at a time and add to it, whether it be examples, and then I just start rearranging it, putting it in different orders, what flows the best way. And I don't tackle it all at once. I am an end user, so meaning that I have a job, 8 to 5. I have children. That's always been a challenge as an end user, is trying to figure out that time to give to the community. But I would say I would encourage them to do it because it helps you become a better employee. It gives you a lot of support. I know who to call when I need
Hmm.
something. And I would just say, like, I encourage them to be the person speaking at these events because our voice is the one that should be heard the most because we're the person using it. And if we want things to change in the community, if we want things to be better, then we need to speak on it. And no better place to speak on it than at an event, at a conference that a lot of people are going to hear you, a lot of MVPs, a lot of partners, and then they can push those requests into Microsoft. So hopefully that frustrating or aggravating thing that you've been dealing with is a thing of the past. And I know
Yeah.
our partners are super trained and excelled in everything that they do, but sometimes the end user is the person that's continuously, like, what, putting in sales orders, continuously putting in purchase orders, continuously setting up items. And sometimes we come across things that could be better. And those are things we need to express a lot. And that's where we can do it, is at a conference like that. That's where you're going to be heard. And I
Yeah.
gain a lot from teaching at the conference. The reason I sell it to my boss, as an end user, it's very hard sometimes to say, hey, I want to go teach on this subject. That was very difficult for my boss to understand at the very beginning was, what do you mean? You're going to take time out of your day and go teach other people? I just explained it like, I get a free ticket. I get to go to this conference. I get to teach. And from it, I gain a lot more knowledge. Also, I gain a lot of community people that I can ask questions to. I can talk about different problems I'm having. We can problem solve things. You can meet with different people. I just think the connections alone have been life changing for me. There's a lot of support. As an end user, I would say you're kind of nervous because you feel like all these partners have all these people that they can go to, right, in their office. And you're just an end user sitting in your office like, I'd like to really do this. I'm going to encourage you to do it because whether you think so or not, I guarantee there will be somebody there ready to mentor you, ready to help you. I have been shocked by the amount of support I have had. It's been a little overwhelming because I want to do well for our community. I think everybody sees that. So I think we just have to get out there as an end user. We have to take the chance, take the leap. I would suggest if you are nervous, ask to have an expert sit in your audience or be there to just kind of answer any questions that you might not feel comfortable about. That's one thing that made me nervous was like, what if I don't know the answer? Well, that's okay because it's a community. And that's what I've learned from the very end is it's a community. I'm not there to know all the answers. In fact, I don't know hardly any of the answers, but I'll teach what I do know. And if somebody has some guidance, they'll pop up an answer real quick in the community and they'll just say something. So I don't know, it's been really nice to have that support. And yeah, I would suggest that I would like to see more end users there. And if anybody wants to get in contact with me, they're more than welcome to. I'd be glad to help them in any way I can. But it's challenging for sure to find the time with the busy schedule. Sometimes I use my lunch break. Sometimes I work at night. And I just do it when I can. But I will say there's a sense of reward that comes with it. And you benefit so much from being a participant in these events and part of your community. And that's what I
Yeah.
sell my boss on a lot.
You ticked off a lot of great points in there. This the benefit of, number one, the free ticket. Typically, if you're speaking, unless it's a local or regional, sometimes you have to pay your own way. There's no ticket charge. But the bigger events, you're getting a free admission to a full week's worth of not just education for yourself, but also the networking. And you pointed that out. That's kind of one of the biggest selling points that I used as an end user is like, hey, I'm making all these contacts when it comes time for when we do have an issue. I'm going to be able to reach out to folks
Mhm.
that I've become familiar with, and those same folks love that call out that you made. If you've got a session, maybe you see, oh, I can see that Sean's back in the back there. Great. Hey, definitely jump in, Sean. If I'm struggling on a question, feel free to help me out. That you've got another resource to back you up there. And then you said nerves. I'd love to kind of end on like how did you get past the nerve side of it? You mentioned a couple things that I would say laying into this, but I'll give you the opportunity to add anything. But being well prepared. If you feel like you're nervous and you can't do it, listen to Shirley. If you're spending weeks and weeks preparing, going over the material, getting opinions, when you get to the actual session, you'll feel prepared. It happens, and the stuff, and boom, it's over, and you'll look back and go, wow, this is stuff I know, and I was actually more prepared than I feared. The fear of getting there is the big thing. So being prepared um, is a huge thing. Anything else? Like what else helped you to get over the nerves?
Well, I would say you're always going to be nervous. I mean, everyone should be because you want to do well. And that means you want to do it well, but definitely practice as much as you can. I actually wrote a note to tell you guys about. There is actually on PowerPoint, a rehearse with the coach. That was very helpful. You can push it and it'll tell you if you're talking too fast or if
Mm,
you need to slow down in certain areas. It'll actually coach you and then give you a whole report on how you did, what time you did, what you need, what you explained well, what you need to expand on. So you push that record button, and I talk really fast sometimes. Everyone tells me take my time, slow down. So I have a habit of doing that. So it always say slow down, and that really helped me
yeah.
remember that. I would say also if you're teaching, one of the things I always do is take a drink of water because it makes you stop and
Mm,
take a drink and it calms your nerves a little bit.
yeah.
But I think everybody's going to be nervous. But just know that you'll be surprised the responses you get after your very first one that you do. And it's kind of addicting. So you want to keep doing it. I would just say give that one chance, take your shot, try it out, and you will get so much more reward out of it than anything. I think it's worth the chance of speaking.
Yep. And I love that you are immediately even giving back to the community, and just to kind of put a double exclamation on the help you got and the help you're willing to give. That's the way the community works. Something that has been that way since I've been in the community for 15 years. Things that I've given back, things you're giving back, and so we're definitely there to help. It is a user community, which does include partners. A lot of partners started at the end user level. A lot of ISV folks, Microsoft. A lot of users now have come from those areas. So it is people move around a lot in the community. and so you got a lot of great resource to help you out if you're just jumping in. And I again 100% agree with you. The more end users we have speaking and giving their stories in these educational moments, it's just again so much more impactful to hear. I like that. I like visiting when we do local meetings. When we visit a user, organizations, building, people are, gaga just to see what people are doing in their own space, even if it's,
Yeah.
you might think, oh no, our place is boring. We don't do anything. And it's just amazing. People are like, no, I love it. Let's go walk around and see what you guys are up to. So it is fun to see the user side really stand up and be more a part of it. Even more so than we are now, just going to keep encouraging that.
Yeah, and I would also say, I think what I always saw missing is the simple things. A lot of times we go to these events, and sometimes a lot of the speakers are so advanced,
Mm,
and a lot of people are looking for that beginning part, the
yeah.
starting of it. Maybe it's entering the sales orders, or it's entering items, and what kind of tips and tricks does that end user have. So don't doubt yourself and what's needed in a community. I think there's a big need for the simplicity in the beginning phases. So if you've even been in it for a couple years and you feel like you know it very well, I would suggest that you try to do it. And I would tell you too that people in the community, mentors that I've had, they make sure when they see that I'm speaking, they come and sit in the class every single time. And
Yep.
that's really encouraging to know that you have somebody there to kind of lean on, and they're also there to support you. They send me text messages, checking up on me, and following them on LinkedIn has also encouraged me to learn more all the time. They're always posting different tips and tricks. And, now they say, oh, have you experienced this problem? And everybody in the community is able to jump in and help each other in a whole different way that I would never be able to do if it wasn't for engaging and starting to speak as an end user. So
Yeah.
I've really gotten a lot of benefit from it. And so is the company. And you go back to work. And so you got to convince your boss, right, that this is something you want to do, something you want to be passionate about. And you got to convince your boss that, listen, the reward will come. You will be the person coming back with all this knowledge, all this experience. And I don't want to call you like a hero of the office, but I've made a lot of changes just based on the things I've learned at the events, and the things I've been able to engage with other people while in the community. So I feel like it's a big win overall for yourself and for the company that you work for. So definitely get out there, encourage your employer to let you invest a little bit of time. Maybe once a month that you get to spend an hour engaging with the community so you can eventually become a speaker would be awesome. I'd love to see more end users for sure. I would attend definitely their classes. You get to help others succeed, miss the struggles that you encountered. So maybe you're helping somebody else. If you have that caring heart, you want to help somebody else, then this is your way to do it. I know all of us at work have experienced pains with any kind of change or ERP systems. Give that back to the community.
That's a beautiful way to end. I appreciate it. Shirley, thank you so much for jumping on with me again. And I know you're not going to be able to make it to DynamicsCon with a very, very good reason, but look forward to seeing you out in the community somewhere along the way.
Thank you. Bye.
And I assume, is there really a Panama Jack?
Yes, yeah. So there's a guy named Jack, and he owns Panama Jack. It's out of Orlando, so we're just a wholesale distributor of the product.
Okay.
We actually have our own brand name called Quave, and we sell a lot of that product throughout the whole United States.
Okay, cool.
So anything beach related, we are the experts in it. Everything for the beach, from pedal pals to swim vests to inflatables, everything you need, bodyboards, shoes, we've got you completely covered for the beach.